Hey, good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. My name is Jade Alberts, and we are live from Calgary. I'm a workplace strategist that focuses on business and brand development, and my passion is helping small businesses grow, enjoy work-life balance. The telling it like it is topic today is rural and agriculture, and Norm Dreger is my guest from MetIQ. Norm's based out of Calgary. Norm, thank you for joining me, and how are you today?
Awesome.
Oh, that's good. I guess, Norm and I here, to just let everybody know, we met through the Osborne Intern Management. We've sat on a panel together to discuss family business at the ATB Entrepreneurial Session Center, which is, if you haven't been there and you're a small business, you should check it out. What are your thoughts on that, Norm?
Yeah, it was a lot of fun and good networking opportunity for sure.
Oh, absolutely. It is good. So I'll give a brief little introduction here to Norm, and then we'll get at it. Norm started in the family business as a laborer on the farm run by his parents, who also had off-farm jobs and careers. After an ag degree and later an MBA, he spent a third of a century in agribusiness and was fortunate enough to live in the UK and then Hungary, and ending that segment of his career in North America role working across a whole portfolio of crop technologies. He started his second career advising both large multinational group and also small family farming and processing operations. Other initiatives he's been working from his bucket list include a family startup, which is non-ag, and a number of volunteer activities. Why don't you expand on that last little sentence there, Norm?
Oh, the volunteer activities I'm passionate about are palliative care and trying to get more rural beds. So I guess it fits the rural theme as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm sure that's a handful. Well, I guess I get our first question here. I guess a lot of the businesses I've talked to in the past or even deal with are city-based, but there are thousands of well-run businesses across rural Canada. What are some of the differences between the rural-based and city-run businesses?
I think the biggest one is the connectivity and the need for internet, and it's still a bit of a gap in some rural communities. And if you think about trying to run a business in an urban setting without the internet or access to that kind of connectivity, you just wouldn't be able to operate. It wouldn't matter if it's the purchasing, the production and processing, or sales and marketing efforts. You wouldn't be able to do it. So that's still a big difference, I think, is the need for that. And you don't only need it for running your business, you need it for your staff too, because in a rural setting, your staff are typically living in the community. And if they don't have that for their personal lives, they're probably not going to stick around too long. I mean, even if it's foreign workers, if you think about that, that's their connection back home, right? So,
Yes. No, definitely. I guess with your experience in running and dealing with rural businesses, other than the internet connection, and what are some of the biggest challenges?
Labor is an obvious one. You compete with other industries, but you have a fixed labor pool that you're trying to draw from. So that's always been a limitation, and competition for the skill set you're after, and just a shortage of some of the skills you might be targeting, depending on the nature of your business, of course. And then wages to be able to retain folks that do have the right skill set.
So have you seen companies in rural, whatever, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Western Canada for that matter, being able to pull people from the cities to come out for a simpler life, with better wages, or do they just kind of accept the fact that I'm living in a town of 4,000 people and I just got to find someone here that works?
No, it's a combination of both for sure. I mean, you're able to attract people for sure from the larger centers, but there needs to be a good match. I think they have to appreciate kind of the value system and the opportunity they have when they come to a rural setting. They tend to be those communities. Everybody knows each other. There's probably a lot more volunteerism, for example. So those are important aspects. So you can definitely do it. I think you've kind of struck on a paradigm there, which is that rural is all about small businesses, and it's about trying to get people to come to these little centers to do these rural businesses. I'm thinking back to that connectivity piece too. I think it fits here because I was actually doing a role with a multinational organization. I was on a global team. I was living in a rural setting, right?
Yeah.
So I'd be sitting just like we are here, working with the team that was scattered all over the world. And then later in the North American position, it was the same thing. My team was scattered all over North America. So it's not just, it's about the rural thing, being in the rural setting, and it might be doing a rural job, but it could also be doing a global job. It's a two-way street, right? Those same global organizations need that connectivity in the rural setting because that's how they're going to access their customers.
No, absolutely. And I mean, I even have experience with that too. I mean, my partners with Nathan's Famous Hot Dogs were based out of rural Alberta, and myself and a few other of people in their company were based out of Calgary. Obviously, we work remotely. It's very easy. A quick trip out for a meeting out, is once a month is not very difficult. And again, I mean, I've people have heard me say this before, is the people are the heartbeat of your company, and I mean, you don't have to be based in that small town to make it work, because we do live in a global community, and the quicker people start realizing that, the more successes and the faster they will grow. I guess that is if they want to grow. Do you find that some to that point, some businesses are just not willing to grow, or just kind of happy with the business that they have and they're quite content, and just that's the way it is?
No, not my experience. I mean, if somebody's coming to myself, it's typically because they have an issue, they have a problem, they want a fresh set of eyes to come in and observe and do some analysis, figure out what the challenge is, and come up with some solutions. And then I like to kind of stick around and help with the implementation and make sure things are working. So somebody's not generally going to, go to that effort and expense of bringing someone in to help advise and such. Unless you're trying to grow, and quite often it's the growth that's the challenge, right? It's the one that's stressing the business, whether it be having access, more scale, different scale, more bodies, bring them out to these rural settings, that sort of thing.
Yeah, no, for sure. I guess kind of the. Obviously a lot of the rural businesses are family businesses. And we all know how, through our own families, I know how complicated that can be. So how do you keep everybody happy? What would be your, if you were to give some top tips on, dealing with family members and keeping them happy, keeping them around, making sure they're in the right roles type situations?
Well, I think you just answered it. Making sure people are in the right roles for one thing, and that's going to happen through some communication. I mean, you knew I was going to say that.
Yeah, well,
that's backbone a lot of your business too, but it's so true. And it's not just family businesses, but I think especially family businesses. Clear, candid, regular, honest communication, and not taking things for granted, which can happen in any business, but particularly in a family business where you know each other so well, you can take a lot for granted, and so you kind of take shortcuts, and you're not having those regular, candid discussions. And then the other thing you touched on there, I think is very relevant, is having people in the right roles and knowing what they're accountable for. So having accountabilities. When you think of a family business, I'm sure you found this too. You probably grew up in it. You probably started as a kid working in it and work your way up the ladder. You've done pretty much everything within that organization. And so you're able to do that. So you end up wearing all these different hats on any particular day. You may look around one day and you realize, 2 or 3 other people in the family business are all wearing the same hat at that point in time, just because, you pitch in and you just get there. And that's a great thing about a family business. But the danger there, of course, is that you can be less than fully effective and inefficient. So it's great being able to do that, but you have clear accountabilities so that you know which hats you're accountable for and need to be learning all the time.
Now, I guess kind of to that point, would you recommend that, they put it down on paper, or is it just something that, should it be communicated? Obviously communication is a big part of it, not verbally, but should it be in a contract?
I wouldn't say a contract, but it's kind of an agreement. I mean,
yeah,
I'm big on writing things down. I like doing analysis. I like to be able to defend why I make a recommendation. It's kind of just the way I'm hardwired, I guess. But so I'm all about writing it down. Maybe I'm not jumping all over that because I just realize sometimes it's not practical. You got to find the right balance. Sometimes you're in a small family business and you're going to be making a huge capital investment. You probably want to have a little more than just the back of the envelope or something in your head that you thought of driving into the office that day that you're going to base this on. You might be betting the operation on this decision, right?
No, absolutely.
Cash flow to carry through if things go awry. So in that case, you'd want more detail, more due diligence. And I think in general, most smaller organizations, whether they're rural or urban, family, corporate, however you're set up, would benefit from more of a structured way of working and having things on paper. Strategy, action plans, right?
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not that you go to those every day and look at them. It's almost like a role profile that goes on the shelf forever. But the discussion that it helped facilitate while you were, developing it and getting it on paper is the important thing.
Well, I agree. Excellent. Well, that was excellent advice, Norm. I really appreciate you joining me today. And any final thoughts?
Oh, appreciate the time.
Excellent. Well, that was Norm Dreger of MetIQ. His address is up on the screen. If you're ever wanting some advice, I've dealt with Norm. He's an outstanding person, and I really like to thank everybody for joining me. You can check this out if you did miss it on all my social media platforms. Again, I'm Jade Alberts, workplace strategist based out of Calgary. Have yourself a great day, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Bye-bye.